Welcome to the 2023 Chronic Absenteeism Indicator presentation from the Accountability Development and Policy Analyst Unit here at the California Department of Education. My name is Michael Ishimoto, and I will be presenting with Catherine Morrissey. This session will be covering a short overview of the dashboard and a more in-depth view of the Chronic Absenteeism Indicator. For the 2023 dashboard, the California Department of Education is releasing a series of on-demand sessions, which will be short, accessible videos, which can be accessed at any time and will cover each of the state indicators in more detail, plus other accountability information. Today's agenda includes an overview of the California School Dashboard, which I will refer to as dashboard from here on out. Next, we'll cover all things chronic absenteeism indicator, followed by a few frequently asked questions, general rules about the dashboard, and finally, how to go about contacting or reaching us with any and all of your dashboard questions. First, we will start with an overview of the dashboard. The California School Dashboard is an online tool designed to help communities across the state access important information about kindergarten through 12th grade. The dashboard reports how districts and schools are performing on multiple state and local measures that make up California's accountability system. A big question that may be on your mind is, what can I expect from the 2023 dashboard? Thankfully, 2022 was a big year of changes, and 2023 will be different, but most of it will be pretty familiar. The dashboard will still report local indicators and state indicators. The big change will be that the state indicators return to colors. The dashboard displays performance through 6 state measures. They are academic performance, which includes measures for both English language arts and literacy, or ELA, and mathematics, English learner progress, chronic absenteeism, graduation rate, suspension rate, and college career measures. The college career measure is reported as a status-only indicator on the 2023 dashboard. The measurement of performance for local education agencies, or LEAs, schools, and student groups on the dashboard is done by looking at 2 years of data. Current year data equals status. A comparison between the current and prior year's data equals change. It's the combination of status and change that determines color performance on the dashboard and is designated by receiving a color, ranging from red at the lowest performance level to blue at the highest performance level. Performance levels on the dashboard, as shown in 5 different colors, range from lowest to highest performance as red, orange, yellow, green, and blue. Now I'd like to pass it to Catherine, who will provide an overview of the chronic absenteeism indicator.
Thanks, Michael. Let's go over the details of the 2023 Chronic Absenteeism Indicator. So what is chronic absenteeism? It is the percentage of students who were absent for 10% or more of the instructional days they were enrolled to attend. It includes students in kindergarten through grade 8 that are expected to attend at least 31 days at the school. Absences include excused, unexcused, out-of-school suspensions, and non-ADA generating independent study days, and are captured in the Student Absence Summary, or STAS, as part of the California Longitudinal Pupil Achievement Data System known as CalPADS. On the 2023 dashboard, this includes transitional kindergarten, or TK, as CalPADS combines TK students with kindergarten students as attending a program rather than a grade. To calculate performance, we use 2 factors, status and change. For chronic absenteeism on the 2023 dashboard, status is calculated using the number of students who are considered chronically absent during the 2022-23 academic year, divided by the total number of eligible cumulatively enrolled students. To calculate change, we take the current year status and subtract the prior year status. So for the 2023 dashboard, this will mean the 2022-23 chronic absenteeism rate minus the rate from the 2021-2022 school year. As the dashboard returns to colors, in 2023, we want to make sure we cover what you will see for the chronic absenteeism indicator on the dashboard. A baseball card style graphic will be the first level of information available to schools and LEAs. This particular card reports results of a school or LEA's chronic absenteeism. The gauge shows 5 different performance levels: red, orange, yellow, green, and blue. This card is showing an orange performance level or color, with the gauge pointing to the orange section and the word orange under the gauge. Below that, we see the reporting status and change. In this example, the status shows a chronic absenteeism rate of 10.1% and an increase of 1.1 percentage points from the prior year. Finally, at the bottom of the card, the equity reports share the number of student groups in each performance level or color. In this example, 0 groups were in the blue or green, 2 groups were in the yellow level, 8 were in orange, and 3 in red. At the bottom of a card, there is a link to view more details, which provides more specific student group information. Now I will go into detail about determining the performance colors of the 5x5 table. There's only one set of cut scores for kindergarten through grade 8 in all schools and district types for the chronic absenteeism indicator. The chronic absenteeism indicator is unique, like the suspension indicator, where the desired outcome is reversed. Most indicators strive for a very high performance level, such as graduation rate or academic assessments. However, the goal of the chronic absenteeism is to achieve a low chronic absenteeism rate and a decreased rate in change. The 5x5 table provides performance levels of a school, LEA, or student group, with the top row representing the change from the prior year. The possible change levels for the top row are increased significantly, increased, maintained, declined, or declined significant. The first column contains the status level in the current year. The status levels include very low, low, medium, high, and very high. The intersection of the change and status will give the performance level or color. In this example 5x5 chart, to receive a blue performance level, an LEA school or student group would need one of the following combinations: a status of very low and a change level of either maintained, declined, or declined significantly, or a status level of low and a change level of declined significantly. To receive a green performance level, an LEA school or student group would need one of the following combinations: a status of very low with a change of increased, or a status of low with a change of maintained or a change of decline, or finally a status of medium with a change of decline or a change of declined significantly. To receive a yellow performance level, an LEA school or student group would need one of the following: a status level of very low with a change of increase significantly, a status of low with a change of increase, a status of medium with a change of maintain, a status of high with a change of decline or a change of decline significantly, or a status of very high with a change of decline significantly. To receive an orange performance level, an LEA school or student group would need one of the following: a status of low with a change of increase significantly, or a status of medium with a change of increase significantly or a change of increased, or a status of high with a change of increase or a change of maintained, or a status of very high with a change of declined. Finally, an LEA school or student group will receive a red performance level with a status of high and a change of increase significantly, or a status level of very high and a change level of either increased significantly or increased or maintained. Select LEAs and schools with small populations are more susceptible to large swings in performance level from year to year. To account for this, a 3x5 table is applied when the denominator for the chronic absenteeism indicator is less than 150 at the LEA school or student group level. The 3x5 tables remove both the increase significantly and the decline significantly change levels from the performance level determinations and folds them into the increased and declined respectively. Therefore, small student groups will receive only one of 3 change levels for the chronic absenteeism indicator: increased, maintained, or declined. The 3x5 table provides the performance level of a school, LEA, or student group, with the top row representing the change from the prior year. Again, the possible change levels are declined, maintained, and increased. The first column contains the status in the current year, and the status levels include very high, high, medium, low, and very low. The intersection of change and status will give the performance level or color. In this example, 3 by 5, to receive a blue performance level, an LEA school or student group would need one of the following combinations: a status of very low and a change of either maintained or a change of declined. To receive a green performance level, an LEA school or student group would need one of the following combinations: a status of very low with a change of increase, a status of low with a change of maintained or a change of decline, or a status of medium with a change of decline. To receive a yellow performance level, an LEA school or student group would need one of the following combinations: a status of low with a change of increased, a status of medium with a change of maintained, or a status of high with a change of decline. To receive an orange performance level, an LEA school or student group would need one of the following: a status of medium with a change of increased, a status of high with a change of increased or a change of maintained, or a status of very high with a change of decline. Finally, an LEA school or student group would receive a red performance level with a status level of very high and a change level of either increased or maintained. LEAs that do not certify their CalPADS end-of-year data or had more full day of out-of-school suspensions than the number of days reported as absences will have their performance level automatically assigned to orange if they have 30 or more students enrolled to attend. LEAs submit the data for their students as well, so the school within the LEA will also be assigned orange. This rule has been applied across multiple dashboards. However, LEAs and their schools were automatically assigned a status level of high in 2022 since colors were not available then. A red performance level is assigned if the LEA or school's own chronic absenteeism data places them at this performance colors. In these instances, the LEA or school will continue to receive a red performance level and will not be auto-assigned an orange color. Changes from the 2022 dashboard to the 2023 dashboard include the return of performance colors and the 5 by 5 and 3 by 5 tables. Last year, only status was reported and the 3 by 5s were not used. Additionally, there will be an automatic assignment of orange if data are not submitted or incorrect, rather than an auto assignment of high, which was used in 2022 due to the lack of change levels. On an annual basis, you can ensure that your absence data are submitted accurately in CalPADS by verifying that the chronic absenteeism data for your LEA has submitted. Specifically, LEAs can review the following CalPADS reports prior to certification: Report 14.1, Student Absenteeism Count for Summary Results, and Report 14.2, Student Absences, Student Lists, to access student level data. These reports are annually available starting in May and can be reviewed through the CalPADS end-of-year certification window. Further information on how to access these reports are available in the Connecting CalPADS to the Dashboard Handbook, which is linked in the note-taking guide. Now I'll pass it back to Michael to talk about the differences between DataQuest and the dashboard. Michael?
Thank you. Next, we'd like to cover some of the differences between DataQuest and the dashboard when it comes to the chronic absenteeism indicator. Many schools and LEAs use both DataQuest and the dashboard to understand their data. However, DataQuest and the dashboard calculate and present data in different ways. Here are the differences. Schools and LEAs can use both DataQuest and the dashboard to understand their data. While both report chronic absenteeism rates, there are differences in the way the data are calculated and reported. DataQuest reports chronic absenteeism for students in grades kindergarten through grade 12 and allows for filtering for different grade spans. The dashboard only includes kindergarten through grade 8 as a part of accountability reporting. DataQuest includes charter schools and their district authorizers reports. There are filters available to include or exclude charters from the authorizer reports. However, the dashboard always has charter schools excluded from their authorizers results since charter schools are considered LEAs for accountability purposes. DataQuest and the dashboard differ in how students with disabilities are reported. On DataQuest, students with disabilities are reported at the district of attendance. On the dashboard, they are reported at the district of residence, which I will go over later in the presentation. Finally, DataQuest reports broad reasons for absences for the state LEAs and schools, which include excused absence, unexcused absence, out-of-school suspension, and incomplete independent study. While the dashboard does not report on absenteeism by reason, it does provide a link on the dashboard to the absenteeism by reason reports in DataQuest. Now I'd like to pass it back to Catherine.
Thank you. Before we close out our review of the chronic absenteeism indicator, I want to review a few frequently asked questions that we've received. The dashboard is not showing chronic absenteeism data for all my high schools. Is this an error? No, the chronic absenteeism indicator is a K through 8 indicator. Data are reported on the dashboard for elementary and middle grades only. Chronic absenteeism data for all grades, kindergarten through grade 12, are available on DataQuest. Are transitional kindergarten or TK students included in the chronic absenteeism indicator? Yes, TK and kindergarten students are both coded the same way in CalPADS, so TK students are included in the chronic absenteeism indicator. Are excused absences included in the chronic absenteeism indicator? Yes, the following absences are included in the chronic absenteeism indicator: excused absences, unexcused absences, out-of-school suspensions, and non-ADA generating independent study. I heard that students with in-school suspensions are counted as absent in the chronic absenteeism rate. Is this true? No. In-school suspensions are not counted as an absence. Again, there are 4 types of absences included in the chronic absenteeism indicator: excused, unexcused, out-of-school suspension, and non-ADA generating independent study. Will the chronic absenteeism indicator have new cut scores because of the COVID-19 pandemic? No, the California State Board of Education decided in their July 2023 meeting that the chronic absenteeism indicator will not have new cut scores for the 2023 dashboard. Previous cut scores will remain in place. However, the dashboard will have a link to the absenteeism by reason report available in CDE's DataQuest. My school was closed because of a blizzard or natural disaster. Will all my students be counted as absence for the purpose of the chronic absenteeism indicator? No, the chronic absenteeism indicator uses expected attendance days for its denominator. Expected attendance days are the total number of days a student was scheduled to attend. The days the school is closed are not included in the expected attendance days calculation. This was our quick recap of the chronic absenteeism indicator. If you need additional help with the chronic absenteeism indicators, we have a few different resources available to you with links available in the note-taking guide. First, we have our California Department of Education Chronic Absenteeism Indicator webpage. This will be your go-to for any questions you might have about how rules are applied with examples. It contains links to communication flyers, our technical guide, and other resources. The technical guide is broken up into mini guides to make information more digestible. Next, we have the CDE School Dashboard Additional Reports webpage. After the dashboard has been publicly released, the data will be updated for the 2023 dashboard. The chronic absenteeism indicator additional reports will give you more detailed information on the indicator. Finally, let's pass it back to Michael to go over some general rules about the dashboard.
Thank you, Catherine. Our final topic today will be to walk through some of the general rules about the dashboard. I will now go through what the accountability insight thresholds are and how they will be applied on the 2023 dashboard. I will use the chronic absenteeism indicator results for our example. If the N size is 30 or more students in the denominator, then the performance level or color is reported on the dashboard, along with the status and change from the prior year. There is an option to select the student group or compare it to the state student group results. In this first sample card, the Hispanic student group is selected and displays a green performance level or color, with the gauge pointing to the green color and the green along the top border. The card shows a chronically absent rate of 8.9% and a decline of 1.8 percentage points from the prior year. The number of students, or N size, is 392. Any LEA school or student group with more than 30 students in the denominator is held accountable for differentiated assistance, also known as DA, at the LEA level, and comprehensive support and improvement, or CSI, and additional targeted support and improvement, also known as ATSI, at the school level. If the N size on the dashboard is between 11 to 29 students in the denominator, then only the current chronically absent rate and change from the prior year is reported. In this sample card, the African American student group is selected and displays no performance color with a grayed out gauge and chronically absent rate of 15.4%. It also reports an increase of 8.2 percentage points from the prior year. The number of students, or N size, is 13. Again, there is an option to select the student group or compare it to the state student group results. Any LEA school or student group with 11 to 29 students in the denominator is not held accountable for DA at the LEA level and CSI and ATSI at the school level. The dashboard for less than 11 students is very limited in information. If the N size is less than 11 students in the denominator, then no data are reported on the dashboard to protect students' privacy. In this final sample card, the American Indian student group is selected and displays no performance level, a grayed out gauge, and no data on chronic absenteeism. The number of students, or N size, is 2, and similar to the other cards, there is an option to select the student group or compare it to the state student group results. Any LEA school or student group with less than 11 students in the denominator is not held accountable for DA at the LEA level and CSI and ATSI at the school level. There are, however, inside threshold exceptions to the rules I just explained in the previous slides. They apply to foster youth and homeless student groups, as their inside thresholds are different at the LEA and school levels. At the district or LEA level, there must be 15 or more students in the denominator to be reported on the dashboard and held accountable. At the school level, there must be 30 or more students in the denominator to be reported on the dashboard and held accountable. For these exceptions, charter schools are treated as schools, not LEAs. Therefore, charter schools will need 30 or more students in the denominator for foster youth and/or homeless student groups to be held accountable. Again, we want to clarify a rule about charter schools that is unique to the dashboard. Since charter schools are treated as LEAs under the Local Control Funding Formula, or LCFF, their data are not included in their authorizer's data dashboard report. This includes both direct and locally funded charters. Finally, the District of Special Education Accountability, or DSEA, rule is applied to all available state indicators for students with disabilities who receive special education services at another district or county office of education. These students will be sent back to the District of Residence, or DSEA, and included in the DSEA's dashboard. For example, the district where a student geographically resides is held accountable for a student's attendance outcomes, and that data is included in the District of Residence Chronic Absenteeism Indicator. Please note that this rule applies to LEAs only. All schools, including charter schools, are held accountable for all students with disabilities. This rule has been applied since 2017 for the chronic absenteeism measure and the 2020 reporting of the graduation rate and college career indicator data on the CDE dashboard additional reports website. It was applied for all indicators starting on the 2022 dashboard and will continue for the 2023 dashboard and beyond. For more information, refer to the District of Special Education Accountability Rule flyer under the Additional Flyers and Information section on the CDE Dashboard Communications Toolkit webpage. If those extra resources do not answer your remaining question, as always, we can be contacted anytime and are just an email away. As a reminder, our email is dashboard@cde.ca.gov. We also invite you to follow us on X, formerly Twitter, at CDE Dashboard. Thank you for watching this on-demand video about the chronic absenteeism indicator. Again, please contact us if you have any additional questions. Thank you.